Admiral George Calloway stood alone by the large window on the bridge of the UES Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the massive structure floating in space before him. The Galactic Council headquarters on Centauri Prime looked beautiful from a distance. Its crystal towers caught the light of the nearby star and broke it into thousands of colors. Yet the sight no longer filled him with wonder. The Admiral's reflection stared back at him from the glass. His face looked tired. Deep lines marked his forehead. Gray had taken over most of his hair. 3 years of talks with the Council had aged him more than the 20 years he had served in the Earth Fleet. "Admiral, we just got the message from Earth Command," said Lieutenant Samantha Wright as she walked across the bridge. Her steps echoed in the quiet room. Few crew members remained on duty at this late hour. "The orders are confirmed. We are to leave the peace talks immediately." Calloway nodded slowly. He had expected this. The last meeting with the Council had gone poorly. Very poorly. "Send a message to our delegation. Tell them to pack their things and return to the ship. We leave in 6 hours," he said. "Yes, sir." Wright turned to go but stopped. "Sir, if I may ask, is this the right move? Walking away after all this time?" The Admiral turned from the window. "You've sat through the meetings, Lieutenant. Tell me what you think." Wright stood straighter. "They don't see us as equals, sir. They talk about peace and cooperation, but their terms would keep us trapped in our own system. They want to decide what technology we can develop, what worlds we can settle." She paused. "It's not a peace deal, it's a cage." "Exactly," Calloway said. "Earth hoped for true partnership. Instead, we found 17 alien races who look at humans and see only danger. They fear us, right? And fear makes for bad diplomacy." 6 hours later, the UES Intrepid broke orbit around Centauri Prime. The human delegation had returned safely to the ship. Most seemed relieved to leave. Some looked worried. None appeared surprised. In the council chambers, representatives from the 17-member races watched the human ship depart on a large screen. "Good riddance," said Councillor Zixthar. His blue skin wrinkled around his 3 eyes as he frowned. "Humans proved exactly what I warned about from the start. They are too aggressive, too unpredictable. They simply wanted fair terms," said Ambassador Krelnar. The old Arcturian's voice sounded tired. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of frustration in his species. "We offered them nothing but restrictions." "Restrictions they need," Zixthar replied. "Look at their history. They nearly destroyed their own world several times. Their first response to any problem is violence." "That was their past," Krelnar said. "They have grown beyond that." "Have they? Then why walk away from peace talks?" The council room filled with noise as other representatives joined the argument. Some supported the humans. Most did not. Meanwhile, aboard the Intrepid, Admiral Calloway called a meeting with his senior staff. They gathered in the ship's conference room. The mood felt grim. "What happens now, sir?" asked Commander Frank Price, head of security. "Now we go home," Calloway said. "But first I want to share what Earth Command included in their message." He touched a screen on the table. A document appeared in the air above them. "These are our new orders. Operation Silent Return." The staff read in silence. Faces grew serious. "Is Earth Command certain this is necessary?" asked Dr. Olivia Martinez, the ship's chief scientist. "Very certain," Calloway replied. "Our intelligence agents discovered something disturbing. The Council has already began building outposts around our solar system. They planned to trap us no matter what we agreed to." "So we're really done with diplomacy?" Wright asked. "Not forever. But for now, yes." Calloway stood up and walked around the table. "The Council thinks they know what humanity is capable of. They think they've seen all our technology, all our strengths. They're wrong. They only know what we showed them," Price said with a small smile. "Exactly. And now we will show them nothing at all." 3 days later, the Intrepid passed through the last jump gate before the solar system. Once home, they would begin the next phase of Earth's plan. A plan born from 3 years of failed talks and growing suspicion. As Earth came into view, Calloway felt a mix of relief and worry. Humanity had hoped to join the galactic community as equals. Now they would have to prepare for a very different future. "Sir," Wright called from her station, "we're being hailed by the defense platform." "Put them through," Calloway said. The face of Defense Secretary Patricia Donovan appeared on screen. Her expression looked as serious as Calloway felt. "Welcome home, Admiral," she said. "I trust your journey was uneventful?" "Yes, Madam Secretary. No one followed us." "Good. The Senate meets tomorrow to hear your report and approve the next steps. Operation Silent Return begins the moment you dock." After the call ended, Calloway turned to his crew. "You've all read the operation details. Starting tomorrow, humanity pulls back from the stars. At least that's what the Council will think." "And what will we really be doing, sir?" asked a young officer. "Preparing," Calloway said simply. "The Council believes we're primitive and dangerous. They plan to keep us contained in our own system while they grew stronger around us." He looked back at the blue-green planet growing larger in their view. "So we'll let them think their plan worked. We'll go quiet, close our borders, act like we've turned inward." "While actually doing what?" Wright asked. "Building, learning, growing stronger than they could possibly imagine." The Admiral's face hardened. "And when the time comes, we'll show the Council exactly how wrong they were about humanity." As the Intrepid approached Earth, thousands of ships moved to greet it. This would be the last large fleet movement the Council's watching eyes would see. Soon humanity would vanish from galactic view, but they would not be idle. In hidden places throughout the solar system, humans would work. New ships would take shape in secret. New technologies would develop beyond alien sight. And when the Council finally came to check on their contained neighbors, they would face a very different humanity than the one they thought they knew. The real work was just beginning. 6 months passed since humanity pulled back from the peace talks. The large meeting room in the United Earth Senate building fell silent as Defense Secretary Patricia Donovan stepped up to the speaking platform. The room held over 200 people. Leaders from Earth and all its colonies sat waiting to hear her report. "Operation Silent Return has been in effect for half a year now," Donovan began. Her voice sounded clear and strong over the sound system. "Today I will share our progress and the next phase of our strategy." She waved her hand over a small device on the podium. A large map appeared in the air above everyone's heads. It showed Earth's solar system and many surrounding star systems. Red dots blinked on the map all around the edges of human space. "These red markers show Council observation posts," Donovan said. "Our intelligence ships have found 17 major outposts and 32 smaller ones. They watch every route in and out of our territory." Senator Kevin Russell from the Mars colonies stood up. "Are they preparing to attack us?" "Not yet," Donovan answered. "For now, they just watch. They also stop any ships that try to trade with us. 3 non-Council trading groups have reported being turned away when they tried to reach our space. So they're cutting us off," said Russell. "Yes. But that fits our plan perfectly." Donovan changed the map with another wave of her hand. Now it showed the inside of Earth's solar system. "While the Council thinks they're punishing us, we've been very busy." The map zoomed in on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It showed hundreds of large structures hidden among the rocks. "Our new shipyards now operate at full capacity," Donovan continued. "Far from the Council's watching eyes, we build our future fleet. Ships more advanced than anything we showed the Council during negotiations." The map changed again. This time, it showed the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. On Europa and Titan, our research teams have made huge breakthroughs. Technologies the Council said were too dangerous for humans to have. Technologies they threatened to stop by force if we developed them. Dr. Alan Foster, the head of Advanced Technologies, stepped forward to join Donovan at the podium. His gray beard and kind eyes made him look like everyone's favorite grandfather, but his mind ranked among the sharpest in human space. "The Council believes they know our capabilities," Foster said. "During talks, we showed them our official level of technology. What we didn't show them was everything we were working on but hadn't yet perfected." Foster touched the display controls. The image changed to show a complex diagram. This is our new jump drive system. Unlike the Council's gates that control who can travel where, our ships will be able to jump between stars without using their network. We kept this project hidden during all negotiations. A woman in the back of the room raised her hand. How does the Council not know about this? Don't they have spies? They do, answered Donovan with a small smile. And we've been feeding them exactly what we want them to see. Empty shipyards, closed research centers, public announcements about budget cuts to our space program. And they believe it? Asked Russell. They believe what fits their view of us, said Admiral Calloway, who sat near the front of the room. He stood up so everyone could see him. They think we're primitive and unstable, so when they see signs of our society struggling without their trade and technology, it confirms what they already believe. Meanwhile, continued Donovan, we leak stories about civil unrest. We send out old damaged ships filled with people claiming to be refugees from economic collapse in our colonies. The Council sees exactly what we want them to see. The room buzzed with quiet conversation as people took in this information. Some looked impressed, others seemed worried. What about the people who left? Asked a colony representative. The refugees? There are no real refugees, Calloway explained. Those ships carry our best intelligence agents. They spread out through Council space, gathering information, setting up communication networks. When the time comes, they'll be our eyes and ears, behind Council lines. Donovan touched the display again. The map pulled back to show a distant region far beyond Pluto. In the Oort cloud, we've established our main fleet base. Admiral Calloway now oversees the construction of humanity's first real battle fleet. Ships designed not just for exploration or defense, but for war if necessary. The room grew quiet again. The word war hung in the air. We don't want war, Calloway said firmly. We never did. All we wanted was to join the galactic community as equals. The Council refused that. They planned to keep us contained, controlled, forever seen as dangerous children who couldn't be trusted. So what is our goal now? Asked Russell. To be ready, Donovan answered. Ready for whatever comes next. If the Council decides to turn their containment into something more aggressive, we'll be prepared. If they eventually realize their mistake and offer real partnership, we'll be negotiating from a position of strength, not weakness. Dr. Foster stepped forward again. There's something else the Council doesn't know. Something we discovered just before the peace talks fell apart. Changed the display once more. This time it showed a strange pattern of energy waves. We call it dimensional folding, Foster explained in simple terms. A way to hide entire fleets from detection. The Council believes this is impossible. Their science says it can't be done. Our science found a way. How long before it's ready? Asked Donovan. 6 more months, Foster replied. Then we can begin Phase 3. Donovan nodded and turned back to the gathered leaders. For now, we continue as planned. To the watching galaxy, humanity appears to be struggling, possibly even falling apart. Without Council connections, our official communications will remain minimal. Any ships that do leave our system will appear old and poorly maintained. And in reality? Asked Russell. In reality, we grow stronger every day, Calloway said. We build, we prepare, we advance. As the meeting ended, many stayed to study the maps and reports more closely. No one noticed the small cleaning robot in the corner of the room. No one saw its hidden camera recording everything. No one suspected that within the heart of Earth's government, the Council had managed to place one successful spy after all. In deep space aboard the Council observation post nearest to Earth, Commander Vrelinex received an encrypted signal. Soon the Council would learn that the humans were not as broken as they appeared. The question was, what would the Council do with this information? 2 years had passed since humans withdrew from talks with the Galactic Council. On Centauri Prime, the 17 alien races that made up the Council gathered for an emergency meeting. The grand hall with its high ceiling and shining walls filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Counselor Zixthar stood at the center platform. The blue-skinned alien looked pleased with himself as he prepared to speak. His three eyes blinked in sequence while he waited for the room to quiet. "Down, esteemed members of the council," he began, his translator making his words understandable to all present. "I bring the latest reports on the human situation. As predicted, their civilization continues to decline." He waved a long, thin hand, and images appeared in the air above the gathered aliens. The pictures showed Earth ships that looked old and poorly maintained. Other images displayed what appeared to be riots in human cities and abandoned outposts on the edge of their territory. Since refusing our generous terms and withdrawing from galactic affairs, the humans have faced exactly the problems we warned them about, Zixthar continued. Without access to council trade and technology, their economy has collapsed. Our monitoring stations report minimal activity beyond their home system. At the back of the hall, Ambassador Krell-Nar of the Arcturians watched with all six of his eyes narrowed in doubt. The old diplomat had spent more time studying humans than any other council member. Something about this report didn't feel right. To him, Vrelanax, the council's security director, moved to stand beside Zixthar. The insect-like alien's hard shell reflected the room's lights as he turned to address the council. "These developments prove our assessment was correct," Vrelanax said, his mandibles clicking between words. "Had we welcomed the humans into the council, their unstable nature would have disturbed the peace we have maintained for thousands of years." He brought up new images showing maps of space around the human solar system. "I recommend we proceed with establishing a permanent containment barrier," Vrelanax continued. "This will ensure the humans remain isolated until they have matured enough, as a species, to rejoin galactic society." Voices rose throughout the hall as council members discussed the proposal. Most seemed to agree. Humans were dangerous. Keeping them contained was best for everyone. Krell-Nar finally rose from his seat. The old Arcturian moved slowly to the center platform. His age showed in his deliberate movements, but his mind remained sharp. "I must caution against making assumptions," Krell-Nar said, his deep voice silencing the hall. "During my long life, I have studied many species, but few as complex as humans." "What is your point, Ambassador?" asked Zixthar with poorly hidden annoyance. "My point is that humans have a documented history of using perceived weakness as strategic deception," Krell-Nar replied. "Their own military records are filled with examples where they allowed enemies to believe they were defeated, only to strike back with unexpected force." Vrelanax made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. "Our intelligence is thorough. We have monitoring stations surrounding their system. Nothing escapes our notice." "And yet," Krell-Nar said softly, "I find it strange that a species which developed faster than any other in council records would simply collapse when denied our assistance." The council voted despite Krell-Nar's warning. By an overwhelming majority, they approved the plan for a protective quarantine around human space. The official reason given was to prevent human aggression. The real purpose was to imprison the species within their home system. 3 weeks later, a large council fleet arrived at the designated coordinates to build the first quarantine stations. Admiral Jextor, commander of the fleet, found the border systems completely empty. "This is odd," Jextor said to his second-in-command as they stood on the bridge of the flagship. "Sensors detect no human presence within 5 light-years of our position. Perhaps they've retreated further into their territory than our intelligence suggested," the officer replied. "Perhaps," Jextor agreed, but something felt wrong. "Send scout ships to check the nearby systems. I want to know where the humans have gone." The scouts returned with the same report from every direction. No sign of humans. No active technology. Just empty space where their outposts should have been. "Begin construction of the first station," Jextor ordered, "and remain alert. I don't like this silence." For 3 days, the council ships worked to build the first of many planned quarantine stations. These stations would create an energy field that would prevent any ship from passing without council approval. The humans would be effectively caged. On Centauri Prime, Ambassador Krell-Nar sat alone in his private chambers. The old Arcturian rarely slept these days. His concerns about the human situation kept his mind active when he should have been resting. His communication device suddenly lit up. An encrypted message had arrived from an anonymous source. Such a thing should have been impossible given the Council's security systems. Yet there it was. Krell-Nar opened the message. It contained only 4 words. "You should have listened," as he stared at those words. Another alert sounded. This one came from Council security. The quarantine fleet had stopped sending reports. All contact had been lost. The Council responded by sending a second, much larger fleet to investigate. Heavily armed warships, the finest in the Council's navy, jumped into the area where the first fleet had gone silent. For 2 days, this fleet sent regular reports. They found no trace of the first fleet, no debris, no signs of battle. The ships had simply vanished. The commander ordered his ships to spread out and expand the search area. Then, like the first fleet, they too went silent. The Council chamber erupted in panic when news of the second fleet's disappearance reached Centauri Prime. Zixthar's 3 eyes bulged with stress as he tried to maintain order. "How can this be happening?" demanded the Rigelian representative, his fur standing on end with agitation. "How can a supposedly declining species neutralize our most powerful vessels without leaving any trace?" "I warned you," Krell-Nar said, quietly, but no one was listening. A third fleet, the largest the Council had assembled in 1,000 years, prepared to depart. This time they would maintain constant communication with Centauri Prime. Nothing would be left to chance. Vrelin X, now in personal command of the fleet, sent a message before departure. "We will solve this mystery and deal with the human threat once and for all." As the third fleet jumped toward human space, Krell-Nar returned to his chambers. He wasn't surprised to find another encrypted message waiting for him. This one was longer and included coordinates for a meeting. The old Arcturian smiled slightly. Perhaps not all was lost. Perhaps there was still time for the Council to understand their mistake before it was too late. The third Council fleet disappeared without a trace. Just like the 2 fleets before it, all contact stopped suddenly. One moment they were sending reports, the next moment there was only silence. Even though this fleet had been the largest and most powerful group of ships the Council had assembled in 1,000 years, it had made no difference. In the Grand Council chamber on Centauri Prime, panic replaced the usual calm. Representatives from the 17 alien races argued loudly with each other. Some demanded immediate war against the humans. Others called for a complete retreat from any system near human space. "How can this be happening?" shouted the Rigelian representative, his fur standing on end. "3 fleets, our best ships and crews, gone without explanation. The humans must have developed some kind of new weapon," said another Council member. "Something that destroys our ships without leaving any trace." Ambassador Krell-Nar of the Arcturians sat quietly, watching the chaos. He had warned them, but no one had listened. Now fear ruled the Council, and fear often led to bad decisions. Suddenly, every screen in the chamber lit up at once. The Council's advanced security systems had been bypassed, as if they didn't exist. On every screen appeared the face of a human man. His uniform showed many medals and the highest rank insignia of the United Earth Federation. This was Fleet Marshal George Calloway, formerly Admiral Calloway, who had led the human delegation away from peace talks 2 years earlier. The chamber fell silent as the human began to speak. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council," Calloway said, his voice calm and measured. "For 3 years we negotiated in good faith. For 2 more we've observed your attempts to contain us. We've intercepted your communications calling us primitives and savages. We've documented your plans to eventually sterilize Earth if deemed necessary." The Council representatives looked at each other in shock and shame. Those discussions had happened in their most secret meetings. How had the humans known? "Your fleets have not been destroyed," Calloway continued. "They've been disabled and their crews are safe. They are currently being transported back to Council space." The screens changed to show images of Council ships floating peacefully in space. Their engines were dark. Around them moved sleek ships of a design no Council member had ever seen before. These had to be human vessels, but they looked nothing like the primitive craft humans had used during peace talks. Consider this demonstration a professional courtesy between potential allies or adversaries, Calloway said as his face returned to the screens. The view changed again. This time it showed massive human fleets emerging from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. Hundreds of ships, then thousands, appeared where sensors would have detected nothing moments before. While you observed our apparent decline, we were advancing, Calloway explained. While you planned our containment, we were expanding. The United Earth Federation now controls territory in 3 directions outside your monitoring network. The Council members watched in growing horror as the screens showed human outposts in systems the Council had never explored. Systems that should have been empty now hosted thriving colonies. A woman stepped into view beside Calloway. She wore a uniform similar to his, but with different insignia. "I am Major Nancy Rivera of Earth Intelligence," she said. "2 years ago, one of your spies recorded a meeting of our leadership. You learned that we were building ships and developing technology in secret. What you didn't know was that we wanted you to get that information." Rivera smiled slightly. "That spy was one of ours. The information was exactly what we wanted you to hear. While you focused your attention on our home system, watching for the developments we told you about, we were expanding in other directions using technology we never revealed." Calloway returned to the center of the screen. "We don't seek war with the Council. We never have. But we will not be contained, controlled, or treated as children. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community as equals, not subjects." The broadcast ended with coordinates for a new diplomatic meeting. A simple message followed. "Your representatives will find their missing fleets at this location. We hope to see them there in 1 standard week." After the screens went dark, the Council chamber remained silent for several long moments. Then everyone began speaking at once. "This is outrageous," shouted Zixthar, his blue skin darkening with anger. "They threaten us and expect us to meet them for talks." "They did not threaten," Krelnar pointed out. "They demonstrated their capabilities and returned our ships and crews unharmed. That is not the action of an enemy." Security Director Vrel NX had been on the 3rd Fleet. His absence left a hole in the Council's leadership. Without his aggressive influence, more moderate voices began to be heard. "Perhaps," said the Tellarite representative slowly, "we did make a mistake in our assessment of humans." "A mistake?" Zixthar sputtered. "They deceived us. They built illegal technology. They expanded their territory without permission." "Without our permission, you mean," said Krelnar. "Yet who gave us the right to limit their growth? We offered them membership only on terms that would have kept them forever inferior to us." The argument continued for hours. In the end, the Council remained divided. Some wanted to gather all remaining military forces and launch an all-out attack on human space. Others recognized the futility of such an action. If humans could disable 3 fleets without firing a shot, what else could they do? Finally, a vote was taken. By a narrow margin, the Council decided to send representatives to the meeting coordinates. But they would not go empty-handed. The delegation would include military advisors and would be accompanied by a small defensive fleet. "This is merely a precaution," explained the Tellarite who would lead the delegation. "We go to talk, not to fight." Krelnar requested to join the delegation. Despite his age, his knowledge of humans made him valuable. The Council approved his request. As preparations began for the meeting, news arrived that the crews of all 3 missing fleets had returned safely to Council space. They reported being treated well by the humans. Their ships remained at the coordinates given in the broadcast, waiting to be reclaimed. "How do we proceed from here?" a young Council aide asked Krelnar as they prepared for the journey. "With humility," the old Arcturian replied, "and wisdom, 2 things the Council has been lacking in its dealings with humans." Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. A species that many had dismissed as primitive had outmaneuvered the ancient Council. Some feared what this meant for the future. Others welcomed the change humans might bring to a galaxy that had grown too comfortable with the old ways. The stage was set for a new chapter in galactic history. The diplomatic vessel UES Reconciliation waited at the meeting coordinates. It hung in space like a shining silver leaf, elegant and surprisingly small for such an important meeting. 5 larger human ships floated nearby, forming a protective circle around the diplomatic craft. These ships had sleek lines and smooth surfaces that seemed to shift color slightly as they moved. None of these vessels had existed in Council records just 1 week ago. Inside the reconciliation, Ambassador Daniel Grant checked his appearance one last time. His formal uniform felt stiff after years of working in more comfortable clothes. As the leader of this new human diplomatic team, he knew the importance of making a good impression. "They're arriving now, sir," reported Communications Officer Linda Peterson. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel. 6 vessels approaching. Our scans show minimal weapon systems active. Grant nodded. After years of deception and preparation, this moment would determine whether humanity's gamble would lead to war or peace. Either way, humans would never again be treated as inferiors. "Are you nervous, sir?" asked Peterson. "A healthy amount," Grant admitted with a small smile. "This is the moment we've been working toward for 2 years. Everything we did, the withdrawal, the deception, the demonstrations of our capabilities, all of it was to bring us to this point." The main view screen showed the approaching Council ships. They moved cautiously, as if expecting a trap. The largest ship, bearing the marks of an official Council diplomatic vessel, took position directly across from the reconciliation. "They're requesting permission to send over their representatives," Peterson said. "Grant them clearance," the ambassador replied. "Standard security protocols, but make them feel welcome. We want this to work." Soon, the first of the Council representatives stepped through the airlock onto the human ship. Ambassador Krelnar of the Arcturians led the small group. His tall, thin frame moved with the careful steps of age, but his 6 eyes missed nothing as he looked around the human vessel. "Ambassador Grant," Krelnar said formally, his translator conveying his deep voice, "the Council is divided regarding your demonstration." "But you are here," Grant observed. "That's a start." 5 other aliens followed Krelnar into the meeting room. They represented only 5 of the 17 Council races. The rest had refused to attend, still demanding military action against the humans. The initial discussions were tense. Council representatives demanded explanations for human deception. Humans countered with evidence of Council prejudice. The aliens wanted to know how humans had developed dimensional folding technology that the Council had deemed impossible. The humans asked why the Council had planned to keep them contained forever. Hours passed. Accusations gave way to careful questions. Questions led to cautious explanations. On the 3rd day of talks, Krelnar requested a private meeting with Grant. The human agreed, and they met in a small room away from the main negotiations. "You know why the Council feared you," the Arcturian said without any greeting. "In all our history, we've never encountered a species that advanced so quickly from planetary conflict to interstellar capability." Grant smiled slightly. "It's precisely because of our history of conflict that we advanced so rapidly. We know wars cost better than most." Krelnar settled his long body into a chair designed to accommodate his unusual shape. "The Council races evolved slowly, cautiously. Our wars ended millions of years ago. Peace became comfortable, perhaps too comfortable. Leading to stagnation," Grant suggested. "Indeed." The alien's 6 eyes blinked in a pattern that Grant had learned meant thoughtfulness. "Your demonstration has fractured the Council. Some call for war, others for isolation from humanity. But a growing faction, my own people included, recognize that perhaps the galaxy needs what humans bring. And what is that exactly?" "Uncomfortable change," Krelnar replied. "Challenge, innovation born from adversity." Grant considered this. "We never wanted war with the Council. We simply refused to be caged." "I understand that now," said Krelnar. "But many on the Council still fear you." "Fear leads to poor decisions," Grant said. "It led your Council to try containing us rather than partnering with us. It would lead to worse choices if we allowed it to continue." The private conversation led to a breakthrough. Over the next 4 days, a new agreement took shape. Not human membership in the Galactic Council, but a separate alliance between Earth and 5 council races. The treaty included mutual defense and technology exchange. Most importantly, it recognized humanity's right to expand and develop without council restrictions. On the final day, as the treaty documents were prepared, Fleet Marshal Calloway arrived on the reconciliation. He had commanded the operation that demonstrated human power to the council. Now he would witness the peaceful outcome of that show of strength. Will it last? Calloway asked Grant privately after reviewing the treaty terms. The alliance? Perhaps. What matters is they no longer see us as primitives to be managed, but as equals to be respected, Grant replied. He looked out a viewport at the assembled ships, human and alien together. Sometimes the path to peace requires demonstrating that you're fully prepared for the alternative. The signing ceremony took place in the Reconciliation's main conference room. Representatives from Earth and 5 council races took turns pressing their thumbs or appendages to the document scanner. With each signature, the tension in the room eased slightly. When the ceremony ended, Krelnar approached Grant one last time. My people have a saying. The strongest bridges are built after the greatest storms. Perhaps this difficulty between our peoples was necessary. I hope what we build now will last, Grant said. It will require work from all sides, the Arcturian replied. But I believe it possible. Across the galaxy, humanity's reputation changed overnight. From upstart primitives to a power that had outmaneuvered the ancient council, humans became the subject of much discussion. Some feared them. Others sought alliance with them. Many watched with interest to see what they would do next. As the HFY Reconciliation prepared to return to Earth, Communications Officer Peterson received a message from home. She brought it immediately to Ambassador Grant. Sir, Secretary Donovan has updated our strategic assessment, she said, handing him a data pad. Grant read the message carefully. We've gained allies, but also new challenges. The galaxy is watching, us now, not as curiosities but as players on the cosmic stage. The real work was just beginning. Humanity had proven they would not be contained or controlled. Now they needed to show they could be trusted with their power, not by submitting to the Council's rules but by creating a better future through partnership and mutual respect. As the reconciliation jumped toward Earth, Grant looked at the stars streaking past. The old human saying seemed appropriate. Peace, through strength. But he hoped the strength would never again need to be demonstrated. The galaxy had room enough for all to thrive, if only they could learn to do so as equals.